Welcome to Malcolm and We, heard exclusively on malcolmpresents.com, a streaming platform heard round the world and beyond. I'm Malcolm Berman, and the bottom screen, as you see, is my co-host, Yana Larson. And Yana, introduce our guest.
I will. Richard Coyne is a chemical engineer with a decades-long research and development career in electrochemistry and experience with batteries, water treatment, process modeling, fuel cells, and other technologies. While in college at Michigan State University in the late 60s, one of his textbooks noted that carbon dioxide from fossil fuels that ends up in the atmosphere traps heat and causes global warming. But how fast this would happen was not known. Today, the science is clear. Our extraction and burning of fossil fuels is using a rapid increase in global temperatures, is causing a rapid increase in global temperatures that is causing many life-threatening changes. The message is clear. We must stop burning fossil fuels as fast as possible. We will also have to remove much of the carbon dioxide we have already put into the atmosphere. His goal is to help people understand the science of climate change and to provide answers to the question, well, what can I do about it? The simple answer again is stop burning fossil fuels. The more complicated answer involves technology, psychology, and politics. We have the technologies to stop burning fossil fuels. How do we develop the willpower to use it? He is a member of a number of environmental organizations, the Climate Reality Project, Sierra Club, Citizens Climate Lobby, Third Act, and Green Energy Ohio. He and his daughter Cassandra just completed 4 years as co-chairs of the Northeast Ohio chapter of the Climate Reality Project. He is also an Ohio State University Master Gardener volunteer. Through these organizations, they make presentations and put on displays describing the causes of climate change and advocating for measures that we can take to combat it. Richard and his wife have electrified their home and transportation and give tours of their sustainable home. In addition, he helps educate at schools. As we know, kids are often very motivating assets in changing family behavior, which can have a far reaching effect. And he hopes to discuss how each of us can play a part in solving climate change, how the neighbor effect works, and how the Inflation Reduction Act can help affect change, help middle income families save money, and work to fight climate change. I too am a member of the Climate Reality Leadership Corps, and my action is in advocacy, bringing awareness of the Corps and these messages to those who may not otherwise be aware. Welcome, Dick or Richard. I met you at a meeting that I finally came to. I try to attend a lot of these kinds of meetings that I find just because I'm on a lot of mailing lists. I'm not as an active member as you are, but I try to do what I can. So thank you for being here, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for the invitation and thank you for the introduction. And um, Malcolm and I have had some discussion beforehand, so we're a little familiar with my background.
We're all friends already.
That's good.
Yeah, he knows how much snow we have and that we're not
Yeah.
in Buffalo. We're not getting
Right.
the three, we're getting the foot and a half. But I don't know where you want to go.
Well,
Again,
let's talk about the climate reality, the leadership core. That's how I started. So I hope you can talk about it, how you got into it, and you obviously took it, have done a lot. And I don't know how old your daughter is and how she got into it, what you had to do to get her to help you. But I mean, that's a lot. I mean, it's a whole family behavior because you've done your home and your car and everything. So
I'm
thank you.
fortunate that our entire family is on board with this. And I'm sure people are familiar with the movie that Al Gore put out, An Inconvenient Truth. I believe that was 2006, 2007. Um, that's where I really started putting the pieces together. I was very suspicious that we were causing the warming starting in 1999 when I was part of Green Energy Ohio. We built that organization up from the ground. But in 2007, I still had some doubts after watching the movie, but over the years, reading books, and 2013, I took the training in Chicago that Al Gore put on. And in 2014, I took a 13-week course through the University of Chicago. And because of my engineering background, I focused on the technologies and the science. And I thought everybody was going to buy into it because, you got to trust the scientists. And then I
One
became
should.
aware
One should.
it doesn't work that way because that's where the psychology and the
Yeah.
politics. And unfortunately, people don't accept the science necessarily. And that's been my goal since about 2013. And that's when I joined the Climate Reality Project. And then in 2020, my daughter took the training for CRP. And unbeknownst to me, she volunteered to be the chairperson for the Northeast Ohio chapter. And one thing led to another, and we collaborated and we became co-chairs. So it was a great 4 years. And she's just turned 50, and she is hoping to get her PhD degree in renewable.
Oh, she was
Uh,
at that meeting that I was at, where your last official meeting as leader.
yes, and
Oh,
very pleased that she is taking up the mantle, I guess, if you will. Um, she was listening a lot more than I thought.
well, she
I mean,
is
she
nearly
did
50,
that.
so her listening skills have developed,
Yeah,
hopefully.
and I mean, what you're doing today, I think, is critical to advancing our solutions, and that is opening up the conversation. I started talking to the master gardeners in 2010. So this February will be my 15th presentation to the master gardeners. And it's gone from skepticism to a lot of cooperation. We put together a display for the Geauga County Fair and focused on the renewable energy needs and the Inflation Reduction Act. And I've just been thrilled that more and more people are learning what's going on and doing things like putting on solar panels. And when I mentioned the neighbor effect, that's what I'm talking about. My neighbor
Mhm.
across the street, he saw that we had solar panels, and I helped him get some quotes, and lo and behold, he purchased solar panels, and he's producing about half of his electricity. My daughter did the same thing. So we got 3 homes right here locally, and then there are other master gardeners who are looking for help in finding vendors to put on solar panels. And then my cat just ran
Yeah,
up
yeah,
Yeah, I
the
just
saw
saw your cat run up the stairs.
that.
Either there or
Well,
it's a large mouse.
um, that is how it works. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and I don't know if I mentioned that when I was at the meeting, but I kind of grew. I mean, this was in I was. We moved there when I was 10, um, which was 1966, and my dad growing up in Boulder. I mean, there's just an awareness, and not everybody, but my dad was not an early adopter of many new technologies because he was always convinced that we have to wait a while before it gets better. But solar panels, that went on the roof of our house pretty early on, as soon as.
Well, how do you go about spreading the word when there's so many people that sort of say that it's not necessary, that this is not causing the climate change? The fossil fuels, so how do you get people to change? The way I see it, or the only positive thing, let's say, about solar panels is that it saves on electricity. And I think that's why a lot of the people do solar panels, not necessarily because it's going to, reduce the carbon footprint, but it's going to save them money.
Well, if you can stop burning fossil fuels, I don't care what the reason is. If it's economic, great. We'll talk economics. We'll talk about the wallet. If you're concerned about the environment, we can talk about that. The nice thing is they go together. You're helping to solve climate change and you're saving money. So even though you might not buy into the climate aspect of it, the economics say you should be doing it. I mean, wind and solar electricity is costing less than nuclear or coal or gas. So the nice, like I say, the nice thing is they both combine. And yeah, I live in an area that is anti environmental to some extent, and I'm a little uncomfortable at times. We put a booth together last September, and we talked about the Inflation Reduction Act. And there's a resistance for political reasons. And so we kind of downplayed the Inflation Reduction Act part of it, the politics of it, and we emphasized the economics. In other areas, I'm certain in Boulder, Colorado, they're a lot more attuned to climate activities and
Oh yeah,
concerns.
everything. I mean, I grew up, we grew our own, we always had a garden, we had compost piles, we had to ride our bikes everywhere. We had to use public transportation. Here I get my driver's license, and I want to be able to borrow the car. It's like, go places or something, and mom and dad would say, "Well, you can ride your bike there." And I'm like, "But I want to drive the car." So I mean, I'm just growing up with that attitude. Is there can we combine activities or errands so that we can do everything on one day instead of getting in the car every day to drive somewhere? Just it's just modified behavior and thinking about what I'm if every action has a reaction, it makes you think of everything differently if you grow up with that mindset. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard, and there are parts of Ohio, at least there are pockets where it's just very, very in tune about that, and other places not so much. It's like the world.
But we're making progress. Definitely. I mean, I see it every day.
Yeah,
And
how do you go about disseminating this information and emphasizing how important it is?
well, I mentioned that we had a tabletop display in September, and it's called John's Country Nursery Bee Fest, and it's all about honeybees. And that was the fourth year I've given a presentation. This was the first year where we set up a table and we gave out information about the Inflation Reduction Act and just some of the people I've been talking with for 3 or 4 years, and they're very helpful. And other people who are skeptical, when I give the talk, they'll ask me questions during the presentation, and you can tell that they'll say things like, well, I don't want my money going to this. They don't want to pay taxes to pay for somebody else to get solar panels or something. Or somebody will say, well, my Chevy pickup truck, it isn't contributing to climate change. Well, if you look at the facts, and I'm trying to present the facts here, but again, it's opening the conversation. It's getting people to talk about it. Last year, my presentation to the Master Gardeners, we ended up with fact checking 20 different items. Like one person was concerned about electric cars catching fire. And when you look at the statistics, the electric car is much less likely to catch fire than a gasoline car. I mean, significantly less. Okay, yeah, bad brakes may wear a little faster on an electric car because of the weight. But if you're doing single pedal driving, you're using the engine to brake. So you're not using your brakes. And so your brakes are going to actually last longer. There are people on the internet who have driven electric cars for 100,000 miles and not replace their brakes. The bottom line is, again, it's opening the conversation and getting the facts out and hearing the what the fossil fuel industry is telling people and debunking what they are telling people.
Yeah,
If
but
you
The
don't get it out,
greenwash effect, is that what you're talking about? The greenwash effect?
yes. Well, there's greenwashing in that there are environmental entities that overstate the benefits of green. That's what I call
yeah.
greenwashing.
Again, for those uneducated, what is a greenwashing effect?
Well, it's where you overstate. Let's say, okay, I put solar panels on and I haven't paid an electric bill in 5 years. Well, that's not true in every case. So that's greenwashing. What I was referring to is the lies that the fossil fuel industry is putting out and emphasizing, like, oh, I was told in Phoenix, all the electric cars are catching on fire because the temperature is higher and they're catching on fire. It's not true. There's just a lot of
Misinformation.
Misinformation.
yeah.
Well, but also, isn't it like, didn't we have didn't you have Jess from the Climate Reality Corps there, and somebody else, I can't remember her name, talking about this plastics recycling place that's here in Akron, making it sound like it's like, oh, wonderful and everything, but it's really not.
Right. And the other person who I also can't remember her name, she attended a meeting of quote plastic recyclers, and
Yeah.
they were bragging about the fact that they're not recycling the plastic, they're burning it. They're contributing not only carbon dioxide, but all the other toxins that you get when you burn plastics.
And
And
of
they're,
course, in an area where, near marginalized communities where they're suffering even more because of the atrocities with, what's it called? Environmental racism is the term.
yes, yes. And in Louisiana, the Cancer Alley, I mean,
Yes.
they're getting exposed to the chemicals from the fossil fuel industry. They're getting hit by the hurricanes, and there's no insurance. And that's hopefully where the Inflation Reduction Act can help some of these lower income people survive. I mean, right now there are people in Louisiana that have had no roof on their house for 4 years, and they're trying to get some money to, at least get a roof over their head.
What's happening with the Inflation Reduction Act now that the new administration is coming in?
That's a big question, and I've been reading articles about it. A lot of it is already baked in. Excuse me. In other words, the funding has already been approved, and I hope most of it is already approved. But the new administration has been saying that they're going to remove the funding. And I don't know how much of it they will be able to do or how much they will even attempt to do. The thing is most of the funding, a large percentage of the funding is going to red areas, conservative areas. They may have voted for Trump, but they did not necessarily, want
And
the
then they're
inflation.
using that to like say, oh, look what's happening because of moi. But really, he or she voted against it. But whatever
Where
gets
his
it there,
people, well,
right?
he didn't vote in that election with that bill.
No, I'm
Yeah.
hoping funding will still be available. And it's supposed to go to 2032. And right now it looks like it's pretty guaranteed to 2029. So that's not too bad. That's at least another 4 years. So we
Well,
will see.
a lot of it is like getting people to talk about it is just like you have gone the full marathon, of doing a lot. But even if even if just people just did just simple behavior changes, like just like I said that we did, like we didn't get in the car to just run to the store for one thing, we lived close enough to the grocery store that I was often the person that had to, ride my bicycle or up to the store to get the stuff that mom forgot,
But look what great shape it kept you in.
I was quite active.
So
And I
it
had
had,
my
it had two benefits.
3-speed
At least.
Schwinn too.
But what do you do to be proactive to get the people who don't necessarily want to do it or know about it? Because the people that know about it, that have an interest, they can contact you. But how about the people that don't know that you even exist? How do you try to
Well,
reach out to them?
we had a display at the Geauga County Fair. I may be wrong about this, but I think the attendance is around 3,000 people. And we manned that booth with 6 master gardeners who answered questions. We handed out literature. We have all kinds of displays and a lot of literature about the Inflation Reduction Act.
That's
So
the fair is really popular and is very well attended.
But did you have anything that you constantly send out via the internet, which seems to be the big communication system in today's age? Is there a proactive thing that you send out information to just random people in general over the
we
internet?
don't have that. As far as the Climate Rally Project or any of the organizations I belong to, we advocate that people join these organizations so that they do get that literature. Um, mm,
Well, there are things to do. I mean, I think when you like for me being an advocate and thinking that that's the way I can make a change is constantly sharing any good behavior that organization doing good things and all of that kind of stuff. I think I've when I get something about from the your chapter, share it, and anything I can do to help get the word out. But I'm just one person, so it's I mean it's hard, but you can't. That's what they say. It starts with one. One action, one person, and you just if you're passionate about it, you can't but not.
Well,
Try to,
they say a trip of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
yeah, yeah.
But the thing
Oh,
is, it's becoming a critical thing now. It's not something that you can approach leisurely. I mean, take example what's happening here. I'm in Los Angeles. I mean, the fires, it's beyond description. I mean, the devastation, the intensity of the flames. You look at it, you think you're, watching a science fiction movie.
that's what it
It,
looks like.
it's frightening. Like even with as I said, I've been out here 50 years. First time I have my bags packed. I took all the valuables and it's still ready to move.
Yeah, probably should because I don't think it's over yet.
I know it's not
Um,
over yet because they say next week it will be a red flag.
well, I finally figured out where you live is in relation to the Palisades, Pacific Palisades. You looked like you were alarmingly close.
Well, it's about 10 miles away, but the thing is
Well, that's close.
that's well, yeah, it's been closer than it ever
Because those
was. And
sparks can go 100, didn't they say can go
and
100 miles?
the intensity of the fires was frightening.
well, I think pointing out the connection between climate change and what's happening, scientists have been telling us this is going to happen. It's happening. And just the other day, somebody mentioned to me, they said, well, it's the environmentalists that prevented people from clearing the brush around their homes that caused this problem. No, it is not the environmentalists. In fact, there are laws now in California where people are supposed to keep the brush cleared away and everything. And it's a mitigation
Mitigation,
effort.
fire mitigation. Yeah.
Right, but it's not. I mean, California, over here where I live, it's a combination of many things. It's a
Yeah,
combination. It hasn't rained in 8 months. I mean, it's totally dry, and January is supposedly the wettest month, traditionally the wettest month of the year for us. It hasn't rained yet.
yeah.
Uh,
By the way, my wife gave me a note. The attendance at the Geauga County Fair is more like 200,000.
Yeah, I
200,000.
was thinking
Yeah,
3,000 is kind of
3,000.
low. That's a lot.
But
Um,
do you have a website or an email address that people can contact you?
Well, I can give my email address. It's very simple, coin4377 @gmail.com. And I welcome any contact, if people want to talk about climate change.
well, I
If,
also have the website for the Climate Reality Project, and that's just as climaterealityproject.org. And there's a lot of information there about how you can get involved. It's really quite a good website. So, I mean, we just have to just keep getting the word out. And Richard, you can pass on to other people if they would like to be on our show and talk about it. Just let them know, because I try to have try to have a variety of different kinds of people on, representing what we consider our 11 themes of global unity with We the World, which also is commensurate with the teachings of Martin Luther King. So that's why it's very easy to do a MLK event, because we live along those lines too, and that's what we're working on, of course. So I wanted to ask you, we've had some other people on that represent, climate awareness. We had a person that Malcolm really liked, Peter Fikowski. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but remember him, Malcolm? He
Yeah,
was the MIT trained physicist.
Tukowski, yeah.
Fikowski, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was talking about marine cloud. No, he wasn't talking about that. He was talking about some sort of an algae project in the ocean. But another group that I'm involved with, which is people, people for, people for, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the organization, but it'll come to me afterwards. But it's people against feeling of never mind. I'm getting myself mixed up. But it was about marine cloud brightening. Have you heard of that?
yeah, I just watched a webinar yesterday about geoengineering, and it
Okay.
was focused on reflecting the sun. It wasn't
Yes.
focused
Yes.
on things like growing algae, like you were
Yeah.
talking about, spreading iron in the ocean to grow algae and take carbon out. This was focused on reflecting the sun.
Right. And it's called
And
marine cloud brightening. It's the idea that more moisture will come up from the oceans and put more moisture in the air. Is that what it was that you were seeing?
it was that and other things. I mean, you could change the fuel on these transport ships in the ocean so that it would create more clouds to reflect more of the sunlight back. There are sulfur compounds that you can inject
Yes.
upper atmosphere to reflect it. They had about 5 different ways of reflecting it, and boy, many years ago they were proposing putting white plastic balls on the ocean to reflect, basically taking the place of the melting snow and
Mm.
ice.
Right. I
But
never heard of
really,
that. Did anything come of that?
no, no.
And
And this organization basically was saying, we are not advocating that we do this. We want to stop putting the carbon in the atmosphere and we want to take it out. But if it becomes necessary, we want to know what our options are for reflecting the sun.
It
It's
helps slow
it's
it down.
last.
Yeah.
we are changing the whole balance of the world, with the ocean and with the atmosphere.
Yeah. It's a
And
great experience.
again, Malcolm and We basically is an arm of We the World. And my function, I know very little about this to tell you the truth, as far as how to correct it. I hear everybody talking and or our people talking about it, and I agree there has to be major action. And my function is more of a communication type of thing, having people like you on the air to talk about it, and
Support.
Yana to talk about it. Because
Yeah.
it has to reach more people because more people are involved with it. It's a strange thing. People say, "Oh, it's in nature. It will take care of itself," but it won't because we're changing it.
Yeah.
And my thing is, we changed the world with the Industrial Revolution. Before that, people didn't, burn the coal that way. They didn't use energy that way, so they didn't put it out in the air. Now, the whole world has changed, and it again, as I always say, the world will be here. It's the people might not be able to.
Yeah.
Richard, do you have any grandchildren?
No, no, our daughter and son-in-law do not have children.
Um, is that, are you kind of glad about that in a way? Because,
Well, a small portion, maybe. I mean, I know a lot of couples evaluate whether they want to have children, factoring in where we are headed. And I mean, we're doing a lot of this for our children and their children. No, I wish we had
you were,
had the opportunity of
yeah,
spoiling grandchildren.
right.
Well, in essence, all the children are our children. They're
Yes.
all people. But
Well,
anyway,
my daughter teaches, and she has a lot of students that they're not
They're your
truly her
children.
children,
Yeah.
but they really are.
yeah. Now I have friends that are teachers that they are their children for that particular period. They're her kids. But anyway, guys, believe it or not, our half hour is up.
And I have to do my little thingy.
Right. Do your little thingy. And this if if see her do her thingy, you have to be over 21. So if you're under 21, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I always tell jokes like that. Anyway, do your thingy.
Stop making me laugh and I can do it. Okay. So here's our message. Join we for MLK Manifesting the Dream and 40 Days of Peace. Take action and be of service at we.net/MLK. And that's about our MLK event that we're doing with We the World. We're doing this is a grant project that we are working on, and it's a big deal. So there are lots of organizations such as ours that are recognizing Martin Luther King. This event it's a national event. It starts January 15th, which January 15th to the end of February, and then it's Martin Luther King Day on the 20th, which is the same day as the inauguration. So anyway.
Okay, is your thingy ended?
Hmm?
Is that the end
What?
of is that the end of
Yeah,
your thingy?
yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Richard. We'll have to have you on again. Just contact Yana and or if you have people that would like to speak,
Yeah.
let us know. And
Yeah.
I
also
will do.
tell them,
Thank you for
yeah,
what you're doing.
tell everyone or all your contacts where you can be seen on malcolmpresents.com. You go and the show is Malcolm and We.
And
Very good.
the information is at the bottom of my email, and I'll send it out to you send you out another email. And we have a podcast on Buzzsprout too, and we're heard around the world on the podcast too.
Around the world and beyond. Anyway,
And
guys, thank you much. See you next week. Bye.
bye bye.